Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today, we're looking at a crisis that's unfolding thousands of kilometers away in West Asia, but believe me, its shockwaves are hitting India directly. We're going to explore exactly how this conflict is impacting our economy, our energy security, and of course, the lives of millions of our people.
And just like that, with this one sentence, a regional Cold War turned hot. You see, this attack set off a massive chain reaction of retaliation and counter-retaliation, and India, with its deep connections to all the players involved, finds itself right in the middle of the storm.
All right, so let's get right into it, by first understanding just how incredibly fast this whole crisis blew up.
I mean, think about this. In just 72 hours, the entire region went from simmering tensions to all-out conflict. It kicked off with those joint U.S.-Israeli strikes that killed Iran's supreme leader. Iran's response? It was immediate and it was widespread, targeting American bases all across the Gulf. And then came the economic bombshell. By March 2nd, Iran shut down the Strait of Hormuz, a critical artery for the entire world.
And that brings us to the Strait of Hormuz, what's often called the world's oil artery. Closing this choke point wasn't just a military move, it was a calculated strike with immediate and devastating global consequences. So, the Strait of Hormuz isn't just some waterway, it is, without a doubt, the world's most critical oil choke point. Just try to picture this. About 1/5 of the world's entire petroleum supply squeezes through this one narrow passage every single day. So when Iran's IRGC declared it closed, well, that was way more than a military maneuver. It was a direct threat to the global economy.
And for India, well, this is a huge vulnerability. About half of all our crude oil imports pass right through that strait. But look at the numbers for cooking gas. It's even more serious. A staggering 80 to 85% of our LPG imports come through Hormuz. A huge chunk of our LNG supply depends on it too. So this isn't just a supply chain problem, it's a direct threat to our country's energy security.
Okay, so how does a shipping crisis in West Asia translate into a direct economic threat for all of us here in India? Let's break it down. Any spike in global oil prices has a direct and pretty painful impact on India's economy. For every $10 increase per barrel, our annual import bill just balloons by $12 to $13 billion. This, in turn, widens our current account deficit and, according to some estimates, could even shave off up to 0.5% from our GDP growth.
But what do all these big macroeconomic numbers really mean for your personal budget?
It's actually pretty direct. Here's the rule of thumb. For every single dollar that crude oil goes up, petrol prices could rise by about 50 to 60 paise per liter, and it's a similar story for diesel. Now, the government might absorb some of the initial shock, but if the conflict drags on, we're all going to feel the pinch at the pump, and importantly, in the kitchen, with a lot of pressure on cooking gas prices as well. You know, beyond all the economic data and the oil prices, there's a really profound human story unfolding for millions of Indians.
10 million. Just think about that number for a moment. Across West Asia, nearly 10 million Indian nationals are caught right in the crossfire. In the UAE alone, Indians make up the largest ethnic community. For them, this conflict isn't some distant story on the news. It's a direct threat to their lives, to their safety, and to their livelihoods.
And you see, this community isn't just a population, they are a vital economic lifeline for India. The UAE alone accounts for over 19% of all the money sent back home, and countries like Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Kuwait are also major sources. This money supports millions of families all across India, which makes the safety of our diaspora both a human and an economic priority.
And listen to this first-hand account from a Dubai-based industrialist. It just paints a terrifying picture of the reality on the ground. It really underscores the immediate danger, which is why the Indian government has mobilized, with airlines running special evacuation flights to bring our citizens home safely.
So we have the energy crisis, the economic shock, the human cost. And that brings us to the final and maybe the most complicated ripple of all, India's diplomatic challenge. This crisis has forced us to walk a very, very precarious tightrope.
Two of India's most ambitious strategic projects are now caught right in the middle of this. On one hand, you have the India-Middle East-Europe Economic Corridor, or IMEC, a huge project to connect us to Europe that now faces immense uncertainty. And at the same time, the International North-South Transport Corridor, our long-planned gateway to Central Asia through Iran, is also under direct threat. It's like having two master plans, and suddenly the ground they're built on is on fire.
So this is the diplomatic tightrope India has to walk. On one side, we have the US, our comprehensive global strategic partner. On another, we have Israel, a special strategic partner for defense and tech. And then you have Iran, our civilizational neighbor and our golden gateway to Central Asia. Trying to balance these three absolutely critical relationships while a conflict is raging between them is a monumental challenge.
And really, this conflict forces all of us to confront a fundamental question about our future on the world stage. Caught between our powerful partners and our inescapable geography, is India's long-held policy of strategic autonomy now facing its greatest test ever? Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more such interesting content.